standing for Black Girls Coalition, and these are some of the amazing visionaries and leaders that are part of the coalition. The Women's Leadership Project is a Black feminist mentoring, civic engagement, and advocacy program, and we've been in South LA for over 20 years. We serve Black girls, girls of color, and gender expansive and queer youth. And our primary emphases are peer and prevention, education, and gender justice. And before we begin, I want to recognize that we occupy land originally and still inhabited and cared for by the Tongva, by the Tataviam, the Serrano, the Keech, and the Chumash peoples. We honor and pay respect to their elders and descendants. So we're here this morning to hold space for Black women and girls. We want to hold space for Black women and girls. And say that we are standing for Black girls unapologetically.
Yes.
We are calling for justice. We are calling for recognition of the epidemic of sexual and domestic violence that is jeopardizing the lives, the health, the well-being, and the right to self-determination of Black girls across sexuality. We are here speaking specifically in City Council District 8 because City Council District 8 is one of the few city council districts that has a predominant African American population, a significant African American population, and it is also a council district where Black women and girls are being the most victimized by violent crime. We're here as a community of survivors to speak out against the silencing and the erasure of Black girls and Black women's voices and lived experiences in public policy, in local government, and in our communities. We're here to call specifically for Mayor Karen Bass, who is the first African American female mayor in LA's history to step up.
Yes.
We are calling on City Council member Marquise Harris Dawson, whose office we are standing in front of. He has recently been appointed President Pro Tem of the City Council. We are calling on you, Council Member Dawson, as one of the few African American council members who has not yet been indicted, to step up and to be accountable to the lives of Black women and girls who are being disproportionately victimized and traumatized by this epidemic of sexual and domestic violence. So according to a March 2023 report, and I want to add that this report was released virtually under cover of darkness. There was no substantive effort to engage with the communities, with the Black women and girls who are most impacted by the violence in this city, in this county, that's cited in that report. According to a report that was produced by the city's Civil and Human Rights and Equity Department, Black women are 4.3% of the city's population. Let me emphasize, 4.3% of LA City's population, yet we represent 25 to 33% of the female victims of gun homicide, of domestic violence, of intimate partner violence, of rape, of sexual abuse, and when we want to break it down, sex trafficking as well, because we know Black girls, particularly in this corridor, have some of the highest rates of sex trafficking, of commercial sexual exploitation of children.
Yeah.
And that has been erased within mainstream media representation and in some instances in our community. So that report was precipitated by community outrage over the abduction and the murder of 16-year-old Tiani Beers. Who has heard of Tiani Beers? Tiani Beers, say her name.
Tiani Beers.
She was a 16-year-old, brilliant, beautiful African-American girl who was murdered, whose body was dumped like it was trash on the side of the 110 freeway, not far from here. And so there was community outrage about the lack of mainstream media representation of her murder.
Yes.
Her murder has not been solved. Her murder, like that of Mitrice Richardson, who was another African-American young woman brilliant, beautiful,
Call her
genius,
name.
visionary, murdered. Her murder has not been solved. Killed in 2009. The murder of Hannah Bell, who was a 15-year-old African-American girl who was killed not far from here, half-mile away from here, on Western, in front of a burger shop, shot down. Another brilliant, beautiful, visionary young woman whose name we need to say, whose name needs to reverberate.
Yes.
This is the atrocity that we are living. The fact that black girls, by the time they are 18, 60% of them will have experienced sexual abuse. We are saying that these girls, these gender expansive youth, these black queer youth, they are not nameless and faceless. We are standing for them unapologetically.
Yes.
These youth are the very youth that we as educators, that we as parents, that we as caregivers, that we as community organizers teach day in and day out. We mentor them day in, day out. We care for them day in and day out.
Yes.
And we in turn learn from them as they tell us, and you will hear that testimony today from some of our youth. They tell us that they are experiencing these record rates of intimate partner violence, of grooming, of sex trafficking, of rape, of other forms of sexual abuse, of off-the-charts transphobic and homophobic attacks that they're enduring, not just at their schools and not just in the community at large, but also, let's tell it, in their homes and in their families.
Yes, come
So
on.
we are standing for these youth today, and we are asking, where is the outrage on the part of our community? Where is the justice on the part of our so-called leaders, elected officials of African descent? Let's break down some of the atrocious stats. From 2011 to 2022, black women and girls accounted for 1/3 of female homicides in the city of LA and 1/3 of all missing women. They
1/3.
accounted for nearly 1/4 of all female rape victims. By contrast, white women made up approximately 18% of female homicides and 23.6% of all missing women. In comparison to non-black women, black women are 3 times more likely to be killed by an intimate partner. Black women are also more vulnerable to this pernicious practice of dual arrest, where they may be arrested themselves if they are reporting a victimizer, an abuser. They may be in turn handcuffed and then incarcerated for simply reporting their victimization. Also, when it comes to trans victims, the LAPD terroristically uses female and woman interchangeably, thus obscuring trans and gender expansive identities while not accounting for non-binary victims. And so we have a whole regime of hate crime data reporting that is not capturing the lived experiences and the trauma of gender expansive and trans African descent folks. We say again, protect black girls and black women at all costs, period.
Period.
Protect them with mental health. Protect them with mentoring. Protect them with safe spaces. Protect them with reproductive justice. Protect them with jobs. And protect them with preventive education that is culturally responsive, anti-racist, and unapologetically black feminist and womanist. Yes. So I want to introduce some of the members